Welcome everyone to Life Lessons from Movies, presented by my organization, The Zen of Hollywood, and me, your host, David McKay. In this segment, we extract life lessons from movies and then use simple, practical tips to help us improve our lives and become happier, which I believe we all desire. Okay, today's theme is the universe is always in your favor, always working on your behalf. And we'll examine this theme through the good film, Ben is Back, starring Julia Roberts and Lucas Hedges. Please know there are spoilers ahead. Okay, this film focuses on Ben, this teenager in his late teens who happens to be a drug addict. Now, Ben is away from the family doing rehab, and he's not supposed to come back until he gets his act together. Well, he ends up showing up on Christmas Eve day, and although the family's in shock, they end up welcoming him in their home. Okay. Now remember that scene where they come home after going to the shopping mall and doing some shopping, and they find that the house has been robbed. But the only thing taken was their dog, right? And so Ben realizes that this is a bit of a vendetta against him from a former drug connection of his, a drug dealer. And so Ben realizes that if he's going to get the dog, he needs to set the record straight, compensate this guy, and so that's what he sets out to do that evening, Christmas Eve. Well, his mother, Holly, is somebody who supports him. She's very tough on him, right? She's trying to protect him and make sure nothing bad happens to Ben. But when he sets out and she loses contact with him, she becomes desperate. So what does Holly do? She goes over to this woman's house, and this woman who lost her own daughter because of the connection to Ben and drugs, and she goes over to her seeking help. Well, of course, this woman has every right to refuse help to Holly. But what does she do? She actually lends Holly her car and also gives her this little device to resuscitate a drug addict if he or she happens to be on the verge of death, right? And what happens? As it turns out, those two things help Holly tremendously. I mean, it ends up saving Ben's life. Okay, let's look at this film in terms of karma. Now, karma is nothing more than energy in the form of our thoughts, actions, and words that we transmit coming back into our lives again. So negative karma is those thoughts, words, and actions coming back into our lives to teach us a lesson that we didn't learn before, right? A lesson that once we learn will help propel us along our evolutionary paths towards enlightenment, which we all are on. So everybody think negative karma is punishment, right? It's not punishment. Again, it's just energy coming back into our lives to teach us a lesson that we didn't learn before. So in actuality, it's for our benefit. Now, the ego doesn't necessarily see our negative karma as something beneficial. After all, if our house burns down or if we have a cancer diagnosis, the ego sees it as something harmful, right? But that's from a limited viewpoint. From a higher viewpoint, the highest, that is from the level of spirit, everything happens by design. So that the house that burns down is negative karma that could teach us, for example, about non-attachment to our possessions, to money. And that cancer diagnosis could be beneficial because it could help us appreciate life at a much deeper level and to really help us find who we truly are. Not the body that's filled with cancer, but the divine essence inside. So you see, the truth is there is no such thing as negative karma in the grand scheme of things, which means that the universe is always working on our behalf. It's always working in our favor. It just doesn't seem that way from the viewpoint of the ego. Now, how could the universe not work in our favor? After all, the universe is unconditional love, right? It wants us to feel and expand our joy, our love. It wants us to live from our passions and to realize our dreams and to have a beautiful life of happiness. Why? Because this is how the universe expands, right? The universe expands in love through us. It can't do it without us. And so it naturally has our best interests at heart, built into it. So the universe is always working in our favor and trying to help us as best as it can based on our own individual karma. So the universe can't come in to save us at any one time because that would be contradicting its own laws, the law of karma or cause and effect in this case. So to answer the question, why does Ben live in this film and this other woman's child, why did she die? It comes down to the respective karmas, which means the series of individual choices that each person made, and whether that was based in love, conscious choices, or fear, unconscious choices. So my tip is to realize that the universe is always working on our behalf, right? But it can only do so based on our own individual karma. That is the energy that we're transmitting through our thoughts, words, and actions. So obviously, it behooves us to focus on positive energy, loving thoughts, loving actions as best we can. So what do you think about this movie and this life lesson? Feel free to leave comments below. And for more movies, tips, and life lessons, please go to my website, thezenofhollywood.com. That's thezenofhollywood.com. And feel free to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.